Hello everyone, Jerry Tabatt with you again here for another edition of Military Minutes. We got a couple of special guests today from the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. First of all, we got Doug Moore, who's the chairman of the Military Affairs Committee of the Chamber of Commerce, and Brandy DeRuyter. She is vice president of the Governmental and Military Affairs Committee. Thanks to both of you for coming in today. And we wanted to talk a little bit about today. A lot of people out there don't realize that, hey, Chamber of Commerce, they like tourists and all that. But you guys play a very active role in our community with our big military environment. So, Brandy, I'm going to start with you. Talk a little bit about why is it part of the community, and what's your mission and everything that you do over there at the Chamber?
So the Bay County Chamber of Commerce is a military affairs committee. And that mission of the committee is to promote understanding, goodwill, and support for our active duty military and increase those relationships with the community and business leaders. The intent of that mission is for open communications and building relationships. So if anything does happen that requires action, those relationships are in place and established.
So it's kind of like tying everything together, which gives the military aspect another avenue to go to where you may have some information that they don't really know is happening in this community. So that's great on that part. But Doug, I want to talk a little bit more about the involvement of this community. You guys are all over with the Chamber, and when it comes to the military, you're covering that up, and you've had a real special job since the hurricane now. So tell us all about that.
It has been interesting, and one note to add is the Chamber is a private entity. We're not affiliated with the government or in any way, so this is the local business community and business leaders of the community that have gotten together and decided that this is something we need to do to help Bay County. Specifically with the storm, as we go through in my position of the executive leadership of the Chamber, we are affiliated as an honorary commander with certain group commanders out on the base, and it so happened last year while I was chair of the Chamber that my honorary commander was the colonel that was in charge of the mission support group, which is the entire facilities. Right. And so obviously that relationship that was established prior to the storm made communication, even though it was hard to do connections, we knew each other, we had trust in each other, and I was able to help facilitate with the community getting on Tyndall, getting things done, and helping Tyndall talk back to the community as well.
And it's been a real challenge with this storm out there, Brandy. I mean, our military is spread all over. We have guys commuting back and forth from Eglin to Tyndall. Does that make things a little bit more difficult for you trying to reach all these different individuals with the programs you have?
Well, at first, when communications were down, of course, and it did take a little while for everyone to get back on their feet again. But we've kicked our support into full gear, our advocacy into full gear, talking with senators, congressmen, looking at those funding avenues to get Tyndall bigger and better than it has been ever before. And the same with the Navy base. You know, they can always come to us for help and support.
And one of the other things too. Active duty is a big part of this, of course, but you also work with retired people. I know I'm with Warrior Beach Retreat, and you guys, anytime I need you, you're there to help. Why do you do all of this in the community like this?
So the Military Affairs Committee is made up of about 300 members, 300 now, and in various backgrounds. They could be retired military, military supporters, come from military family, work in a military-related environment. So they come from all backgrounds, and the sole intent and purpose is to support our military. Right. And so anything that entities in the community may need, to fulfill their mission, we are more than happy and willing to help, and we come together.
Doug, let's talk just a little bit now about what you expect to happen the rest of this year and on into the next couple of years. Are you going to be growing any? Are you going to get more involved? And then we'll get with Brandy again about some of the actual things going on right now. But you got a lot on your plate.
Yes. A couple months back, I, as chairman of the Military Affairs Committee, Tom Neubauer, Bay Defense Alliance, and Glenn McDonald with the college and Bay Defense Alliance, were all invited out to AFWorks in Nevada to talk about Tyndall and the base of the future. And with us being local community leaders, they were asking our input. We're looking to build the base of the future, modernize and do things. What are you as the community looking for inside of the rebuild of Tyndall Air Force Base? So that was pretty interesting. It was 2 days and it was a deep dive, and it covered a lot of different things, talking about what are aspirational goals, what are challenges, what are opportunities, what are threats, what is it that we need to be doing as both as the military as well as community leaders to try to help facilitate and try to smooth the edges and make things happen. One of the things that is very much in conversation and in play is trying to figure out housing for all of the people that are going to be coming for the rebuild, as well as housing for the people that are here helping with rebuild, and housing for individuals as well. And so that's one thing that we're trying to look at, different opportunities and avenues that where can we think outside the box? What can we do that has not been thought of or done, and try to approach it from that standpoint and get creative for the community.
Yeah, and just a little sneak preview on that. I'm going to talk with Tom Neubauer in a couple of weeks, and we're going to go over that because he's always involved in that housing so much, which is really something this community it's going to be difficult to get through. It really is. All right, Brandy, let's say that I've got a question now, and I call you and say, okay, Brandy, it's Jerry Tabatt. I want to do something for our military. What kind of things can we do? Can we work with community-wise to work with you?
Yep. Well, I think, to be a member of the Military Affairs Committee, you got to be a member of the chamber first, and then you can join the committee. But the general public, some of these, it all starts with conversations and engaging our fellow military and their family as well. They're just as important. And, communications, these conversations, they build relationships. And the relationships are the foundation for this military-friendly culture in our community, which is extremely important.
Right. And you got a great reputation in the community. Miss Carol Roberts, in charge of the chamber, how do you work with her as the chamber leader, and then you break this down into the different committees? I know Carol's a big supporter of the military too.
She is, and I think what most people don't realize is just how much the entire military complex here, between the Navy base, between the Coast Guard, which is technically not military, it's part of Homeland Security, but where it all falls and with what all it does, it makes up well over a third of our economy. And it's over $1 billion that is put into this. And not only from, again, when most people think military, they don't realize all the civilian contractors and where all these different things are. And so you ask about working with Carol, it is juggling different aspects of things, but making sure to promote the businesses for the contractors that are around here that are doing this type of work. Like, I met somebody at a going back to school party a couple weeks back. This gentleman graduated with a PhD from Georgia Tech. He's actually working with Georgia Tech here, but he's working with F-18 pilots throughout the country on different things, working with them on recovery and different things such as that. That's something that most people probably would have no clue would be happening. And even as chair of military affairs, I found that out by a pool party. But it's the way that everything interconnects with our community, and the advocacy is just raising the awareness of letting people know. One of the funnest things of my job, both last year as chair and then this year as chair of the military affairs, was talking to our Leadership Bay class and the participants that were in that to help them understand just what exactly is in Bay County, and that there's so much more than they realize. I mean, one of the coolest things that I've seen is somebody that I got to be really good friends with, and I got to know him before I got into this leadership role, but it was Colonel Derek France, who used to be the wing commander here. Well, he's a one-star now, but he's actually, I've gotten to be very close friends with he and his family. And you talked about the retirement. That's one of those things that, because the way this community supports military, a lot of these people, be them down from enlisted to non-commissioned officers up through officers of any level, when they get done with their military service, they want to come back here to live.
Yes. Yep. I never left when I retired. I've been here, been retired since '88 now. Brandy, how can someone in the community that's looking at this right now and listening to us, if they want to get involved with you, volunteers or something like that, do you accept volunteer work to help with you?
Typically, those are reserved. Those opportunities go out through a newsletter, our Mac Messenger. And to receive the Mac Messenger, you're a member of the committee and in our database.
How many people are we talking about now in this committee? I mean, I've got 2 of you right now, but there's a lot more than just 2 people.
We just hit our 300 mark.
Wow.
We just hit our 300 mark. And so that, the numbers always go up and down, just a couple each month. But so we're at 300, and we're proud of that milestone.
Keeping everything tied together is really a chore for you to do. Any changes from your aspect that you're looking at now that over the next few months here on the Military Affairs Committee itself?
So The Military Affairs Committee has been around since 1946, and I do want to talk about the history because
Sure.
it has had a very steady history.
Yes.
And so you ask about, any changes in the month. Well, there haven't been a lot of changes in the past 3 years now. So the committee formed, it was the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, and it was 1946, and the Navy base had just become a permanent installation.
Sure.
But Tyndall had some uncertainty still, and so our chamber leadership met with Army officers, and they wanted to know, hey, we support you, we want you to stay, what can we do? And with the populations, you got to have your roads and your bridges and your
Sure.
homes and
Sure.
schools, and so the chamber leadership made a commitment, a community commitment, that all their needs would be taken care of. And so the day that they had the announcement that Tyndall was to remain, they had a party of dinner and dancing between the officers and the community leaders, and that tradition has continued into today.
Sure it has,
And
yeah.
so our events welcome and bid farewell to base commanders and visiting dignitary are what we would consider a typical MAC event.
And that's so much appreciated in this community too. Is there anything that you do specifically now with the veterans, the VA here? Because we're seeing a lot more attention now, even from Washington, D.C. down to the local level, is we've got to take care of the veterans. How are you incorporating anything, or are you incorporating anything special for veterans?
We do events for the veterans around the holidays and do different things. We pull together gifts and do those different kinds of things. That is something that we have been talking about, as well as how do we engage more for veterans. But we go out to Sims Nursing Home and do some different things along those lines. I wasn't able to make it because of some of the post-recovery things, but Brandy was able to make it out to the ball game that they had and everything along those lines.
Sure.
And just showing support and showing them that the community still thinks and cares about them as well.
And that's so important. And Brandy, I know anytime with the Warrior Beach Retreat, twice a year we do that, nightclub, would say, Brandy, I need a little help with this. You're right there. Mm-hmm. You're right there. You can reach out to different people that the average person doesn't understand is there to help with that 300+ membership.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So we can put it out, and we do have support in numbers, and that's how we're able to help.
You guys do a lot over there. Who does the most work?
We can point the fingers all day long. So
All right.
We each have a different role, and we each do it, and we're in pretty constant contact. Lately, it's been more by text just because of
Sure.
of different
Sure.
events, but constantly talking about different opportunities, what's going on, what's happening, and making sure that both of us are aware of what's happening and trying to keep everything moving along and moving in the right direction as best we can.
All right, we got like a minute and a half left to go, Brandy. What are you looking at now where you could maybe use a little help from the community? What's the next big event coming up for military affairs?
and so military affairs events center around military calendars, and those are not as predictable, far out. And so we they're scheduled. There's usually a very small time to schedule an event once we hear of something coming down
Veterans
the
Day is coming
pipeline.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do anything special for that?
That's something that we allow the cities to do their parades,
Okay.
and if we need any support roles, we provide the support.
All right, if anybody wants to get a hold of you for anything, Brandy, how can we contact the chamber?
Yep, you can call the Chamber's general number, and then my personal number is 850-215-3759, and my email is Brandy, Brandi, at baychamberfl.com.
Tell them Jerry sent you. She'll take care of you then. All right, thank you so much. Wish we could talk more, but we're run out of time. Brandy DeRuyter, who is Vice President, Government Affairs, Governmental Military Affairs, and Doug Jones, who is the Chairman of Military Affairs Committee. Thanks to both of you coming in today. I think we've showed the community how you guys really work for us here. Thank you so much. And hey, we're out of time. We'll see you next time on Military Minutes. Have a great day, everyone.